Welcome to What's in the Pot. I'm your host Sean Grande, and today we are making sweet potato fries and Cajun shrimp. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to season our sweet potatoes, and the first thing we're going to add is about a tablespoon of olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, you can use canola oil, sunflower oil, any kind of oil you want to use. And the next thing we're going to add is about a teaspoon of black pepper. Now the black pepper is going to give it a nice taste. It's going to offset with the sweetness as well. One thing I would suggest is if you don't have the coarse ground black pepper like that, you can use any kind of black pepper. It doesn't matter. It's just going to add that extra flavor into it. The next thing we're going to add is granulated garlic. The garlic will give a nice little flavor. And we're going to add 1 teaspoon of granulated garlic powder. And after we add our granulated garlic, we're going to add a pinch of salt. Now salt is something that you can add about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon. I use sea salt, so I don't use too much, and then really salt is just for taste. If you're going salt free, you don't have to. Now we're going to add about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. You can use any kind of Italian seasoning, Clubhouse, it doesn't matter which one you use. Once you add the Italian seasoning, what we want to do is go ahead and just mix it up. And what we're going to do is once we've mixed the potatoes, we're going to put our ingredients into the oven, but we're going to set the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And once we've set the oven to 400 degrees, you want to put your baking dish in the oven and let that preheat with the oven so the potatoes are nice and crispy. The next thing is we have our shrimp. I got 2 different types of shrimp because I actually ran out of the red Argentinian shrimp. This is just a different kind of black shrimp. So we're using 2 types of shrimps for Cajun seasoning. The first thing is a teaspoon of coarse ground black pepper. Like I said, you can use any kind of black pepper, and about half a teaspoon of hot paprika. You can use smoked paprika as well. I like the hot paprika. And another teaspoon of cayenne. Cayenne is very essential to Cajun kind of seasonings and the Cajun food, so we want to make sure we get a little kick from that cayenne. And I'm gonna actually add a store-bought Cajun seasoning, and we're just gonna mix that up. Very simple recipe, very simple to make, but that's pretty much it. Once we've tossed all our ingredients into the shrimp, we just want to let it sit for a few minutes, and there we go. The next thing is what we're gonna use for the Cajun shrimp is we're gonna use some flour, and I just add about a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Just add some flavor to the flour, and we're just gonna toss that shrimp right into the flour, and we're just gonna mix it up. Not kind of like the popcorn shrimp or the popcorn chicken video where we kind of dredged it individually. We just want to throw all that shrimp in there and just get all that flour coated on each piece of shrimp. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the potatoes in the baking dish. Now the baking dish has been in the oven while it's been preheating, so once you put the potatoes in, you'll hear a nice little sizzle. You can add a little bit more extra oil if you don't want the potatoes to stick, or you can add a piece of foil. Now we're going to bake that in the oven for about 45 to 50 minutes at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now doing the Cajun shrimp, we do it in 2 parts. This is the first part we're going to do with some of our ingredients, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add some garlic, and that's a teaspoon of ground garlic. You can use the bottled stuff, you can use the dried stuff, and you want to let that garlic simmer. Now when I say it's 2 parts, we're going to fry the shrimp, but we're going to fry up these ingredients first. So first we're going to fry up the garlic, so that's 1 teaspoon of garlic fried up in the wok, pan, skillet, anything you use, it's up to you. I'm using the rock pot here. It's actually really good. It's actually non-stick, but really good quality. The next thing we're going to add is about a cup of sweet peppers and green onions. So about half a cup of green onions, half a cup of sweet peppers, and that's just going to give it a nice flavor. And if you don't know where I'm going with this, you'll see eventually. So I'm going to add that into the pot and let that saute up. And you're not going to get it, you don't want it to get crispy, you just want it to get sauteed and have a nice little flavor into it. So we want to add that in there and just let that saute for a few minutes. Now after it's been sauteing for a few minutes, we're going to add some pimento peppers, and I added just 2 pimento peppers. If you want to make it a little bit spicy, you can add a habanero or a scotch bonnet or a Thai chili, and we're just going to let that saute up. And once let these vegetables saute up for about maybe 5-10 minutes, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take them out of the pot, and then we're going to continue with the next step of the Cajun shrimp. Now with Cajun shrimp, I have about a tablespoon of oil. I'm using canola oil. And now you can see a little bit of that garlic in there, but that's all good and it's gonna add some flavor. Now we're gonna take the shrimp that we've battered in the flour and we're just gonna pan fry them. We're not deep frying them, we're just pan frying them in the pot. You can use a skillet. Like I said, you can use any kind of pot. It's what's in the pot. But we're just gonna put them in there and we're just gonna pan fry them. And we wanna get them nice and crispy and golden brown on both sides. And frying time about 2 to 3 minutes each side. Their shrimp. Once if they were frozen, make sure they're completely defrosted. But pretty much once we start frying them in the pot, 2 to 3 minutes until they get pink. But you'll know right away. I mean, once you flip it, you'll see that nice golden crust, that golden color on each side of the shrimp. So the shrimps have been frying about 5-6 minutes, and like I said, 2 to 3 minutes on each side. And I'm gonna show you the crispy and the nice crunchy color that we're looking for, and that nice little crust that you get on the shrimp. And I'll just pop one out right there, and hopefully you can see it. You can see that nice crispiness that the flour gives it. So it gives it a nice little crunch. It's not completely battered, so it's not too much batter. It's just a nice little crunch on the shrimp, and all the Cajun seasoning is soaked in. You can see that's a little bit of a better view there. But yeah, that's it. It's Cajun shrimp. So we're doing our final step of the Cajun shrimp, and we're gonna take a pot. You can use the same pot. I'm using the same one. I just cleaned it out. And we're gonna go ahead and add those veggies back in and the peppers back into the pot, and we're gonna let that saute back up. And we're cooking this on medium, guys, if you were wondering about the temperature. But once we let that saute back up for a couple of seconds, we're gonna add the shrimp. And remember, the shrimp is still hot, it's still crispy, and we're gonna add that back in. And what it's gonna do, it's gonna take all the flavor from the peppers, kind of like you're making sausage and peppers, and add that flavor into the shrimp. All that nice little pieces of garlic is gonna add to the shrimp as well, and it's just gonna give it a nice flavor when you serve the dish. So that is it. That is Cajun shrimp. Very simple, very easy to make. So it's been 45-50 minutes and sweet potato fries are done. You can cook them a little bit more if you want them a little bit more crispy. So there it is, sweet potato fries, seasoned sweet potato fries with Cajun shrimp. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's What's in the Pot. I'm your host, Sean Grande. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Send this to your friends, send this to your family. Hit the little gray bell button. It sends you reminders to your mobile device. Till next time, thank you very much for tuning in. Peace.